The Groomer Next Door is recorded in front of a live studio audience. Welcome to the Groomer Next Door. You're listening to my mommy and daddy.
And now our feature presentation.
And here's your host, my mommy and daddy, Chris and Stella Green.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Groomer Next Door, episode 64. I'm your co-host, Chris Green. Sitting next to me is the ever-talented, the ever-beautiful, the ever-wonderful Sarah.
Hello.
And we are also joined by the greatest little girl that has ever walked the planet before her mom. Or after her mom, I should say. Claire.
Hi.
Well, thank you for coming over and saying hi to everybody. What else do you want to tell everybody?
I had a good day and I saw the puppies and they're great.
Who are the puppies?
They're great.
Who are the puppies?
They have to find a home.
Yep, and we'll talk about that in a little bit.
What's their names?
Melody and Lily.
Melody and Lily. All right, well, we'll talk about them, we promise. Well, thank you for popping in.
Thanks.
All right, everybody, well, we have a full show for you planned. We will actually talk about things only groomers will understand. So maybe it'll give you guys an understanding of what we actually hear on almost a daily basis. We will recap last week's video podcast for all of you who have not seen it yet. And we will do a preview of next week's video podcast. And then there's a little thing that I'd like to actually talk about. It's called the majority. And we'll get into that in a little bit. So we'll kind of give you a brief rundown of the week. It has been another very busy week with us, unfortunately, coming down with Keith's cold. Thank you, Keith Husky. That was a rough one. We were sick the entire week.
Tell you folks, it's not fun grooming while sick.
Yeah, and Thursday was the hardest because we both had migraine headaches the entire day. From the moment we got up in the morning to the moment we went to bed at night, and we still groomed. We filmed our video podcast.
The show must go on.
Show must go on, right? All right. So, throughout the week, I can't think or remember the week. Do you remember anything about it?
No, it's pretty standard. It's the other stuff that happened on Sunday that really threw our week into a whirlwind of, what are we going to do now?
Right. As we had mentioned in our last episode, we were contacted because of a situation that had happened where somebody had passed away and they were hoarding dogs. We're not going to actually go too much into the story because that will be for our video podcast coming on Wednesday. But we ended up taking in two dogs, two really wonderful dogs, and it was a challenge. Yes, Mama Kitty is outside the studio door. She is, recorded in front of a live studio audience.
If she doesn't have the run of the house, she gets mad.
Yes.
If the doors aren't open so she can freely move about the country, she gets extremely upset and she meows until the door opens. So that's what we're going through right now.
Same thing goes when you go to the bathroom. She does the same thing. And so does Rambo, actually.
Yeah, Rambo's picked up that habit too.
Yeah, so
but getting back to the story, I was tagged into a group chat. There was stuff going on where there was a hoarding situation. There was 24 plus dogs that need to find a home or find fosters, emergency housing, all these different things. And a lot of the people, I kind of hung back a little bit to see where everything was going. I was going to offer up our garage as an emergency. Kind of find out there were still a couple dogs that they have no room for anywhere. All the resources were exhausted. They didn't want to leave the dogs here at the property. I chimed in. I said, look, I can take two dogs probably. I'll get my garage up and fixed to where...
Which you did an amazing job. You had very little time to make almost a kennel-like area for these dogs where they weren't obviously not in a cage or anything. They had free range to move about, but you made a lot of room.
Yes, I made quite a bit of room. Thank you, Glenda, for dropping off your 2 kennels, even though I don't think the dogs are using it.
I don't think they ever used it.
But they are climbers. So the nice little barrier I put up with a big, huge area for them to run, it was almost about the same size that we keep 2 or 3 dogs in a kennel at Shadowwood. It was nice size. And I put our grill where the propane tank wasn't facing them, and it was blocking all of the outlets so they couldn't get themselves near any kind of cords. All of our gardening stuff was put up. I don't know why we have gardening stuff, because we don't garden.
And it's not like it's really, we don't live in a place where it's necessity. It's mostly always dirt because it's always cold, it seems like.
Well, I don't know. Our house was built back in the good old days, and
I think it was built in the 40s.
Yeah, it has sunk down to the ground a little bit, so I don't know. Luckily, we didn't buy this place. But,
God, no.
But it was kind of a rush thing. Hey, look, we need emergency housing, and I was more than happy to provide it. We got quite a bit of donated food from Keith in Shadowwood. He gave us a bunch of food for them. Since they were so emaciated and thin and just sucked in, we fed them a large breed puppy food, which would help them gain weight pretty quickly. When we got them on Sunday, oh man, and they weren't even the worst of them. There was other ones that were even more sucked in than this.
And the number of dogs originally started at 18. That was the original number.
Mm-hmm.
It went from 18 to 24 within, I think, an hour. It was absolute crazy. We won't talk too much because we want you to watch the video on Wednesday.
So as we got them into the house, they stunk.
Oh yeah.
They're not hand shy. I made sure to go through the whole check to find out what's wrong with them and what.
They do great with Claire. They're good with kids. We're not sure if they're good with other dogs. That's gonna be that would be a question.
They had a chance to meet, Katana and Roxy while Lily and Melody were in the car.
That didn't go well.
No, hairs were standing up. Katana was like, "Ooh, friends."
Yeah.
Friends.
Ooh,
Katana
new thing to smell. I want to smell that.
Yeah, Katana wanted to know what's going on. Roxy was like, "Hey, you're on my property."
Yeah.
Belle was just excited just to bark.
She finds any time to bark, doesn't she?
Lily's hair on the back of her neck stood up. But I think once, you introduce and continuously introduce properly, they'll get along with the dogs.
And what was really great about these guys, they were very skittish when they first got here. Within, I would say, the first few hours,
yes,
they became comfortable. And it was immediately moved to the point where if they heard a sound outside, and every so often we'll have a critter walk through right by our cars and stuff like that, and they probably see a shadow, they would start barking.
Mm-hmm.
So they're very protective of property, which is great.
Yes.
But anyways.
They're used to feeding just so fast and so all at once that they would hop from bowl to bowl. They would eat with each other out of the same bowl and then move to the other bowl. I finally got them to where they'll eat on 2 different bowls and leave each other alone.
But they're not aggressive.
Not aggressive. I put my foot in there. They didn't try to bite my foot. No growling, no hesitation, anything.
Claire put the bowls down and they didn't do anything. They waited until she put it down. That was really cool.
The first few days, they jumped when I had the bowls.
That's starvation.
Yeah.
Poor things.
So, after that, when they started to jump again, when I know I fed them 3 or 4 times already that day, I, with a loud voice, say, "Hey, down." And they stood down. They stayed down. And then I put the food down.
Yeah.
So they're extremely intelligent. They are very just on point. They'll be very easy to train. But they need somebody who has a few hours each day to go and to train them.
And they need a permanent home. I mean, this is an emergency situation. They're only here, I think, until today, maybe tomorrow. I know it's been a little crazy because we won't tell the whole story because we'll save that for the video. But they're actually going to a new home, hopefully within the next couple days.
Yes, Kim is working very hard to find a rescue for them. Melody won't be as hard to find a rescue for because she's not pregnant.
Well, I was going to save that for the video.
No, I want to be
Okay,
full
go ahead.
disclosure. We found out yesterday Lily's pregnant. There was other 2 or 3 dogs on property that were pregnant, and a rescue took them both. The problem is too, when you have this many dogs on one property and then none of them are fixed, they just keep multiplying and multiplying and multiplying. And it becomes very hard to find rescues for pregnant dogs, because when they take in that one pregnant dog, they're actually taking in upwards from 10 to 13 dogs, depending on how big that litter is going to be. So it is just so important to make sure your dogs are spayed and neutered, especially if they're going to be outside, or if you're planning on getting a male. All our dogs, female. Our 2 cats are female, but our male is neutered. Our other females are fixed. So we just gotta make sure you stop the overpopulation. I have a strong feeling this hoarding situation started out with just a couple dogs.
Yeah.
That were not fixed.
And then
all of a sudden became 24.
Everything starts with good intentions.
Yeah.
Everything that we do in life can, but then it can become radical. I want to eat healthy goes into becoming one of these things.
I don't eat anything that casts a shadow.
Exactly,
You know what I mean?
And I have to work out 80 hours a day. Now I gotta quit my job because I can't, work out as much and eat properly the way I want. There's always a lot of different things that can cause this. So when you're when you're trying to help out and you're trying to, help a little critter, think about your means. Can you physically do it? Is this dog the one that's going to break your back? And that's, I think, what happened here. This individual just kept bringing dogs in, probably wanted to actually do something really good in this world, and unfortunately, it really affected him.
And we won't be able to know. He passed on.
Yeah, I mean, and we don't know the circumstances of this person's demise. It could have just been living in a house with so much, feces and urine. That could always cause a problem. That's unhealthy. I don't know how old the person was. I don't think they were young. But, if you think about it, 24 dogs, feces and urine all over the place, that's going to bring in a great deal of other things. It attracts other things as well. So at the end, I didn't see the house.
Yeah.
So,
animal hoarding is such a horrible disease.
Has actually worse repercussions than just hoarding other items, just hoarding possession, like boxes and.
I watched an episode of Animal Hoarders, and I can't really watch that show because it just destroys me. But those people had just an abundance of cats, and they were peeing on electrical outlets.
Yeah.
It was so bad in that house where that house just had to be demolished.
Yep.
There was no fixing this house, and it can get worse. So, folks, if you see somebody, taking in a ton of animals, it could be just this little old lady that has nothing else to do with their life.
Yeah, she wants to give love out there.
Yeah, and she ends up with 20 cats around her house. You might want to try to think about talking to a rescue group or a nonprofit and see what the better way to go about it to get to stop.
Well, we've heard this in the past. We've actually heard of different cases out here where somebody will start hoarding. And not in this town, but towns over. And then it becomes the same situation where there's all these cats. And then, of course, then you have cats that are not neutered or spayed. Same thing with these dogs. You have dogs that are, you have male, female, not spayed or neutered dogs. And, well, dogs, they're going to do what they're going to do. And then, of course, then those 4 dogs you had, then they get pregnant. Then you got 8 to 10 puppies with that. And you got all these, each dog. And then all of a sudden the numbers become astronomical. Then it's just out of control, chaos. And then if, of course, then you have to worry about what about these puppies that do not make it? Because not always is every litter going to have 100% survival rate.
It's like how does 1 + 1 = 12? You know, it's you got 2 dogs, both unfixed or not fixed, um, and they have a ton of puppies. That's
and,
how 1 + 1 = 12.
and then what happens if one of the puppies don't make it? Then you have a hoarding situation. And I'm not saying this is the case here. I'm just saying a hypothetical
general.
here. Then you have a dead puppy that is decomposing in a house that could be under a bed, could be in a pile of whatever.
Well, that's the thing that happened in that house where the people were hoarding a bunch of
Yeah,
cats.
yeah.
The cats got stuck underneath the bed,
Uh-huh.
and ended up dying there. It's just it's a horrible situation.
Yeah.
The lucky part here with this particular situation wasn't as bad as it could have been. As far as I know, they didn't find any dogs that were so emaciated that had to be put down. I think they got there just in time.
Yeah. Another couple weeks and I don't know what would have happened.
Because like I said, Melody and Lily were not the worst of them. And Melody was just skin and bones.
Uh-huh. And I think I'm thinking, gosh, you got a pregnant dog, and halfway through its pregnancy, and you got a dog that's pregnant, needs as much of the proper foods and nutritions to stay healthy and have a good litter. And here's a malnourished dog that's eating who knows what.
Yep.
Could even be eating feces just to be able to eat.
Yeah.
So, I know this is like kind of almost one of those little downer moments, but this is what's out there, and not all episodes can be, roses and sunshines and butterflies. You got to kind of dive into these stories because, unfortunately, in this world, this is what we're all comparing notes to. Of this is a bad story. This is a bad story. There's more bad than good,
Right.
and that's the other part with all this. With animals in general, there's abuse, there's neglect, there's this hoarding, and there's not really an outlet to talk about it. It's almost kind of pushed away. And
Yeah.
I don't understand that either.
People don't want to see it because it has to deal with animals. I know when I see the ASPCA commercials,
that one's just sad.
I
can't look at that.
I can't look at it because, for one, I would love to donate to them and help foster an animal, but there's so much here that needs help.
Well, we're physically doing it though. That's good for people who are not actually physically doing it. That's another avenue people could take.
But most people look at animals and they just say, "Oh, I can't watch it. This is just too sad."
I think there's a little bit of that possession too. I'm the owner. I think that's a little bit of the problem. I own the animal; it's a possession, so they don't think of it as a life. And that's
you're talking about the other aspect.
Yeah.
I was talking about
I'm just
so sad.
Yeah. I'm just thinking about it from my aspect of these people might think, well, I own the dog or I own a cat. They're no different than a jacket.
Yeah.
And that's another perception that people have. So it always kind of surprises me.
But they're healthy, they're happy, they're heartworm negative, which is awesome.
Yeah. Actually, they went into the vet. They seemed healthy.
Yeah.
Yep. So that was actually really good.
No ear infections.
I was thinking about it. Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. It's funny that you said that. All right. Well, let's move on. Let's go backwards a little bit. Let's talk about briefly. We won't go too much into it, but let's talk about last week's video podcast. It was the first one of 2015. I don't know how many we're going to release this time in this series, but we have some good stories, some good things we can talk about. Now, for all of you who actually commented on it, thank you very much. I really enjoyed all the messages we received, all the comments that we received on it. It was widely accepted. Everybody loved the episodes. That was really cool. What was cool about it was getting to actually talk to people all over the world. My favorite one was from Australia. Just to know that what we're doing when we sit down and we're talking about this stuff, whether it's on video or audio, it still gets me that people all over the world, they're listening to this.
It's quite awesome.
It really is. And then, today we're recording. Now, I know we talked about it last week. We're at our 1 year mark. Today was the day, it's Sunday, when we released our very first episode. I had no idea how to do that. Boy, that was weird. But Princess, people were sending messages, boy, I wish I could take my dog to you. And, they're 8, 10, 12,000 miles away. So that was really cool to actually hear that.
And then other people who knew of others who had Great Pyrenees.
Yes.
Hey, look at this.
Yeah, it was shared on other dog breeds page. They would actually tag their friends who had that dog, and they would watch.
Yeah, Great Pyrenees. It was pretty cool.
That was an amazing experience.
We'll be doing more filming on breed specifics.
Yes. It will not just be one breed.
Right. We had one lady call in last week asking for us to bathe their Bouvier. And the Bouviers are ginormous. You think a giant Schnauzer's big? Just look up Bouvier. They're huge. And she wanted us to just to wash them, the dogs for show. But it's cold where she's at, and she didn't want to wash the dog while
Is that coming in this week?
No, she wanted in last week.
Oh, okay.
She asked, why in the world are we so busy? And I was like, because the word got out where you were voted best groomer in all of Phelps County. And she was, oh.
Wait, it's not because we do a show?
So
we're famous. We're actually
like,
worldwide famous.
She goes, well, I'll be using your services next time. I'll make sure to call a couple of weeks in advance. I'm like, yes, please.
People are finding that out.
With the Bouvier.
Well, people are finding that out a lot. People are calling, and we're just unable to take them.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we'd love to.
There's a couple groomers in town. I know Carol's one of them that won't do large dogs.
Yep.
For one, they're not equipped for it, and two, Carol's on the
older side.
Yeah,
it's harder to do that.
It's harder for her to get big dogs in, so I pretty much ended up with a ton of large dogs.
You mean
You have ended up with a ton of large dogs.
Oh, it is a lot.
It's been pretty insane.
So, back to our Princess Great Pyrenees episode. I know it was a long one. For all of you who haven't seen it, it's right on YouTube. You can go into YouTube. If you had any questions on how to find it, you could just easily send us a message. Surprisingly, another thing that's really strange, I don't have it on show art. We actually just, and I don't know why, just started working with our Facebook page again. We had not used it. It was just something that was created for what reason I don't know. So we actually just kind of reactivated, and boy, that thing just lit up like a Christmas tree.
Yeah, that's been pretty cool. I know it's extremely hard to keep up on a Facebook page. I do Shadowwood's Facebook page, and it takes me about 30 minutes to do one post because the wording has to be correct, the photo has to be nice and neat, and cropped out, and you've got to come up with a bunch of other different things. It's pretty cool. Yeah,
and it's a lot of work. I mean, what I hope you guys understand is this is not something that we do one day out of the week and it's just a quick little thing. This is a show that we put together 7 days a week. It's something's going on, whether it's talking to people all over the place, putting a show together with content, putting video together for the video podcast. That's not easy. Mixing this stuff, promoting this stuff, album art. This is something that does, Sarah's always saying, I got to take a day off. Now, yesterday I did. Yesterday was my first day I took off, and it was well needed. This is something that it's not something you can just come in and do it really quickly. So I had a point to that, and I lost myself.
Oh, it's the after effects of being so sick.
Well, I had pretty bad headache yesterday, too. So, with our video podcasts, I hope you guys all can tell. I mean, I keep hearing it from people. I remember I was talking about the Facebook page. We almost hit 100 people, and most of that came in 1 week.
Yeah.
I looked at the actual percentage, and Facebook said that our actual Facebook page. Now, if you haven't actually liked our page, just go to the Groomer Next Door podcast and like us.
Sorry.
No problem. The actual we went up 200% is what it said in just the week.
We appreciate all the support.
And every day I'm posting on there multiple things. I'm posting different things. So it's almost like a little bit of a Facebook blog.
And then also what we're gonna start be doing.
Boy, we're really off today.
What we're gonna start.
Maybe we should start doing. Rehearsals. If they're rehearsing for TV and movies, maybe we should start rehearsing this stuff.
Anywho, we're gonna start adding things to our Facebook page for this month. February is
Oral health.
Yeah, the oral health month for all our pups and kitties and such. We'll be bringing you different types of dental chews and water additives and such, and going further in depth.
I hope to actually have an interview with Tropicling.
Yes,
That's my goal.
That would be kind of great. We'll have a little bit of a shoe in there. Called Tropicling. Obviously,
I already have the number set aside. I just haven't had the time.
We are huge avid supporters of Tropicling, but we'll also be bringing other information to you too, because we don't want to be one-sided completely. Pros and cons and such, but we'll tell you, show you, maybe even do a quick video of how to brush the teeth and how to just use the gel.
Actually, I have a video of the gel, but it's one of our dogs. I haven't done it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I haven't actually put it out there yet.
And then we'll do one where we actually sit there and brush their teeth.
Yes.
And
that's a little bit harder.
Yeah, it is a little harder.
A little harder. I've done that.
Harder.
I've done that, and I thought that was.
Sorry, we're not flossing dog teeth. We're not flossing.
No, I'm not going that far.
There are dog toys that floss the teeth for.
There are. All right, so let's move on. I think we're gonna actually topic into things that only groomers would understand. When I read this, I thought it was absolutely hysterical. Now, what's going to be fun is I got to read this stuff, and I am just in no way, shape, or form to read. But I'm going to try, folks.
Maybe shorten it or something.
I don't know.
I'm looking at that. That's
it's a lot of content.
We're already 25 minutes into this.
All right. I'm not going to read all of this part, but all right. Number 10 on the list. Having so many scratches on your arm, people think you self-mutilate yourself.
Yes. I've had that happen where especially in the beginning of the career when you really don't know how to properly handle them, where you don't get hurt. You know safety enough to where the dog doesn't hurt, but you don't know they don't teach you how to not get hurt yourself. Pugs are notorious for this.
Oh my gosh, Pug Nation. Remember Pug Nation came in last year?
Pug Nation.
I remember that big slash. I looked like Wolverine attacked me.
We had like 5 or 6 pugs come in, and they're all from different owners. Or one had 3 or 4, but then other owners. And as you're holding them up, trying to brush them, they have 4 claws on each side that come straight down. So it looks like you ended up being a cutter. Actually,
what happened for me, I got through all of them, and the last one just tore my arm up. Yeah. I looked like I was a cutter.
Yeah, it was horrible. It looked like self-mutilation completely. It did. And then those fun ones that it still happens to me to this day where I'm not paying attention to where the dog's at and I'm grabbing a tool or something and I get a paw straight to the face.
I had that with Lily.
And I look like Scar from Lion King.
Remember I fed Lily the other day and I came back and I was like, do I have a big cut on my face? She jumped up and just wanted to put her 2 front paws on me. And she missed and whoop, right on my side of my face. Luckily, no scratch mark, but oh, that hurt. So it says, only one of many ways that dogs like to show their displeasure at the actions is to flail their legs wildly about something which they're particularly adept at and while they're being groomed, bathed, and picked up. So it's like, and I'm just going to kind of stop right there because it just keeps going. Yeah, it just keeps going. Yeah. But, oh boy, and it can hurt. And some of them, man, they go deep. And then when they go deep, it takes forever to heal. And then when it heals, sometimes they scar. Oh, it's terrible. All right, the next one. Customers who believe persistence will pay off. Here's a typical booking call to the dog groomer. Hello, I would like to book my 3 huskies to get groomed today. Would that be preferable? I'm afraid, and then the groomer will say, I'm afraid we don't have any appointments. This happens on a daily basis, it seems like. We don't have an appointment for 3 weeks. The person says, how about tomorrow then? This is an everyday occurrence, folks.
I get that so much. Someone calls in, and it doesn't have to be a ginormous dog. It could be a small dog. And I am just booked to capacity. Chris is about ready to fall over. He's going to
like Friday?
He's going to divorce me if I book another dog.
Well, let me sidebar you. Friday, you decide to bring in a pretty big dog. Definitely overweight dog. Speaking of which, we had an overweight and Akita that we got to talk about, if we'll remember. But anyway, that's the one thing that stuck out from last week. So Friday, Sarah's like, well, you know what? You've got a lot of things to do right now. I could just bring this dog in and I'll have something to do. And guess what? It's like Claire coming up to me with a cat in her arms saying that, Daddy, it followed me home. I promised to keep and clean it and do all this stuff. When in fact, I'm the one who's going to end up doing it. Which I was.
Anywho, so I've always said I was a sucker. Anywho,
yes. And
you
you
get a
put me
call
through it.
saying, I have a Shih Tzu. I need to get groomed today. Unfortunately, I am booked. It's 3:00 in the afternoon. I'm off at 5.
When have you been off at 5? There's never an off at 5.
I'm off at 6:00, so
typically, yes.
There's just no way of doing it today. As soon as I can get you in, I'm strumming through all my appointment books, and I have something, 2 weeks out. And she goes, well, I'm off on Tuesdays. What about next Tuesday? I was like, I'm sorry, I don't have anything until 2 weeks. The next Tuesday availability I have is actually technically 3 weeks out. I get all the time. And
we are stacking, and then what we do is we end up stacking other dogs in just to try to make room for people, because sometimes you'll have a really good customer that comes in a lot and they're boarding, and they're very loyal customers, and they're like, hey, I've got this going on. I think the hardest one is when they say I have a funeral and I have people coming over. And they're like, can you do me a favor? I just need a really quick bath on the dog. Well, let me tell you, folks, there's no such thing as a quick bath. Look at the video.
Well, in our case, there's no such thing as a quick bath.
There should never be a quick bath.
But, I mean, if you got a Chihuahua,
that's a quick bath.
That's a quick bath.
Yes.
Belle is a quick bath.
Great Pyrenees?
No.
Yeah. So, that's a big deal. All right, the next one.
So just listen to the person that you're talking to. If they said their next one isn't until 2 weeks out, they mean 2 weeks out. Groomers want to make sure they get paid. And groomers want to make sure they get a full day, because if they're not working, they're not getting paid. So they're not going to
Your country accent is coming out solid today.
Now I'm going to be so conscientious of my voice and how I'm speaking.
They get paid.
They want to make sure they get paid properly and make sure that their checks are nice and full. So they are not going to screw with you and say, oh, well, I do have something for Tuesday, but I want you next week.
Yeah.
They're not going to do that.
I'm going to add this one in because this isn't the next one, but I'm going to add it in. Pitting groomer against groomer.
Oh, yeah.
That is the worst of the worst, folks. I will let you cover it.
For one, this is the only time I'll be rude and blunt, but it's rude to do that. Don't tell me, oh, well, I'll just call so-and-so and get my dog in.
I think the best one is, well, such and such, XYZ says that they could do it tomorrow, but I really want it done today, or even it could be next week. It could be a week in advance. Such and such says they could do it this time next week, but I really want to go to you. Well, then go to the other person. Right off the bat, go to the other person.
I'm sorry to be rude here, but it is extremely rude to do that to a groomer. Pitting each other against each other is ridiculous. My response is, well, I'm sorry, we're too booked to just take a sudden appointment.
Yeah.
Another thing that goes along with that is people pinning prices against each other. Bargaining on prices.
Yeah, this isn't Kmart, Walmart, Target, where we're price matching.
Yeah, they say, well,
I never thought about that.
This groomer charges $25. Why do you charge $35?
Have you seen our work?
I said, and it's real simple. You get what you pay for. I give you excellent service. Chris gives excellent service, so you're going to pay for excellent service.
And look, folks, we're not arrogant about this. Go ahead.
You don't go to a 5-star restaurant and ask, why aren't you giving me Burger King prices?
I would.
You don't do that.
Oh, darn.
So you don't come to me and say, well, these people over, 15 miles out that way will charge me $25 and you're asking $35? I'm sorry, you're going to get what you pay for. I've spent a lot of years working very hard at what I do. I am not going to be undercut because you want to pin prices against me. That's not gonna happen.
So,
I undercharge as it is because of my own heart. I don't like
you do.
overcharging.
You do.
But
You charged, what was it, 25 for that overweight?
30.
30 for an overweight Akita. The biggest Akita I have ever seen in my life.
Yeah, this Akita is
150 pounds and $30. I literally lost it. I was like, why don't you just say free? For the work that went into that?
I thought it was an average Akita.
That was no average.
Because I look at Katana, I'm like, Katana's only $30. I wouldn't charge
She's
anymore.
well fed. She's well fed. Alright. So, moving on. Scared you still stink even after your shower at night. And this is talking about a groomer. You're still worried that you still stink of all the dogs. Remember, we're talking about dogs that you squeeze anal glands, or they may pee on you.
You
or
get skunk dogs.
Oh.
That, when the dog gets skunked, that smell doesn't go away. I don't think there's a darn thing out there that will stop the skunk smell. Then you try the tomato juice, you try vinegar and peroxide, you try all these different things, vinegar and baking soda, trying to get the smell out.
Speaking of which, that dog that you had to bring in on Friday, that one you were so gonna do yourself, it had been skunked, folks. So I didn't just have a large dog that was overweight. I had a large dog that had been skunked, and it wasn't like it had just been skunked. It was a while ago, like
still potent.
like probably months ago, and it was still potent.
Yeah, and then
so thank you for that.
They shake, and it just gets all over you in your hair, in your pores, and then you're so self-conscientious that even when you go home to take a shower after the day, you still feel like you stink.
Yeah, you still feel like you smell like wet dog. You do pull hair out of places that you didn't think hair could go.
You blow your nose and all of a sudden black dog hair comes flying out. You clean your ears and all of a sudden there's dog hair in there too.
I think the worst is my eyes. I get a lot in my eyes because of the blow drying a lot. It just kind of flies into my eyes. So I feel like I'm scratching my eyes and...
Remember that one time I had a hair splinter in my eye?
Oh, I'm wondering when that's going to happen.
Oh man, I
Every
had to get
time.
in there with a tweezer because everybody else was too squeamish to do it for me. I'm pulling my eyeball around, trying to focus enough to see where I'm going. I pulled a hair splinter. Yes, there's such thing as a hair splinter. Out of
They're the
my
worst.
eye. And the problem, I'll tell you one thing. The problem with pulling hair out of your mouth or your eyeball or your nose, you don't know what part of that dog that hair came from. You don't know if it was from its wiener. You don't know if it's from its butt area. You don't know if it was around its mouth. Just all of a sudden, this hair, you picture, okay, if I have to have a hair in my mouth,
where do I want it?
It's going to be right from in between the shoulder blades. That's exactly where it's been. Yes.
That's the whole thing. Now, see, when I'm blow drying, one of my tricks, and I'll tell people my trick. One of the things I like to do is I like to have a lollipop in my mouth because then it gives me something to kind of, taste something good, and it forces me to keep my mouth closed. So that works.
You close your mouth?
Only when I'm blow drying a dog. So, all right, moving on to number 7. When a groomer asks for I'm sorry, I misread that. Let me try that again, folks. When a customer asks for short, but not too short, but short if you know what I mean. And honestly, this happens every week.
Well, I don't want it too short. It's still winter.
No, my favorite is I want same as last time, but short, but not too short.
Yeah, it's like if you want the same as last time, okay, I understand that one because it means the same style but shorter, but not too short.
That's where the confusion comes from.
Right. Well, the instant I hear that, I'm like, okay, short but not too short, I'm popping a number 2 guard comb on. And then we can handle it. It's pretty much you're going to get what you get if you're not going to be particular on what you want. I'm using it up to my discretion. And I typically go, when it's my discretion, what's most popular, not what I feel like doing that day.
Well, yeah.
So, Rambo is clawing at the door.
I know. I guarantee if we opened up the studio door right now, we would have 3 cats sitting out there.
And an Akita.
Yep.
So, all right.
I love Rambo's meow, though.
And then my other favorite was Oh, I just want a little bit of a trim. I don't want them too short. And the dog is matted head to toe.
We'll get to those.
And it's like, I'm sorry, this ain't gonna happen. So I always tell people, if you have a photo of what you want your dog to look like, it helps me. Now, you gotta be absolutely coherent when you're looking at photos. You can't just go, oh, this dog is so cute, I want it to look like this. And you bring me in a Pomeranian when you have a Shih Tzu.
Pomegranate, courtesy of Jesse.
Yeah. You bring in a pomegranate picture and you have a Shih Tzu. Or you have a picture of this really cute Shih Tzu that's 6 months old and your dog's 5 years old. There's no way of making it look that way. The hair doesn't grow the same. So you want to be, you want to make sure when you find a picture, the hair is relatively close to the same, and relatively close to the same age.
Yeah.
Because if your dog is bald in certain spots because of age, and you bring me in a 2-year-old puppy picture, there's no way of matching.
Well, it's also hard if like say they say same as last, but a little shorter, but not too short, and it was summer. It's really hard to determine this because then they'll be like, you can't put hair back on. You can only take hair off. And there was actually somebody one time that you were like, well, I can't put hair back on. Well, why not? There was one time that did happen.
What that happened was when I worked at the big box pet store. This other groomer, she had a Cocker Spaniel, and this person wanted this big, huge goatee left on this Cocker Spaniel, right? And we knew you don't touch the beard, right? Well, the wife came in to drop off the dog.
Oh, yes.
And she goes, shave the beard off. And Melissa was like, excuse me? Just shave it. I want it gone.
Yeah, I remember that.
And Melissa's like, well, your husband, she goes, I'm the one dropping off with the dog. Shave the beard. So she had her sign saying, I understand you are shaving the beard off. Well, the husband picks up, flips out. I mean, he is yelling. He is throwing stuff across the room. And then he goes, where's the hair? And Melissa goes, I shaved it off. Your wife told me to. No, where is the hair? Where is the literal hair at? It's just in the vacuum. He goes, go in the vacuum, get that hair out, and weave it back on my dog. I'm sorry, folks. It's shaved. It's clean. It's one step closer than what the vet uses, or one step longer than what the vet uses to do its surgery. It's gone. There's nothing to weave back on.
That's hilarious.
And he wanted that weaved back on the dog's chin. And the wife's like, I never told you to do that. No, I never. And we bust out the paper, pointed to it. I said, did you not sign this? Well, I didn't know what I was signing. Well, ma'am, in your own writing, it says, I understand I have you shaving beard off. In your own spelling, your own words, your own writing. And they still got a full refund.
Jeez.
Still. Oh, it was horrendous.
Number 6.
Melissa was crying after that, by the way. Oh, she was bawling her eyes out.
Number 6. Appointment times seem to be an abstract concept. This is the one that can really kill any groomer. Any groomer, because the fact is you have a set time. That doesn't mean it's any time after that. It's not like if you've ever been to Disneyland and you get a fast pass and it says return at 4:30 to 6:30, that doesn't mean that you can go anything past 4:30. It's when you have an appointment, say 8:30 in the morning, that means be there at 8:30 in the morning because work gets started in that approximate time.
Yeah.
I've seen where people come in where they'll have 2 dogs, they'll have a morning appointment and an afternoon appointment, and what they do is they come in between it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's my part that drives me batty because I'm very time.
The problem is I find it to be quite rude for people to think they can come in whenever they want. It's like, look, folks, I'm on a time sensitive schedule where you're not the only dogs that I groom, and if I don't get your pups here and started on them, I'm late getting out. Then I have to explain to the people in the later part of the day that your dog's not going to be done soon.
And then
So-
those people get upset because why is my dog taking
When
longer?
I was there on time.
But then sometimes it does happen that they were late the time before that, and then now they're mad because now they're delayed, even though the last time they may have delayed other people.
Yeah, so
It's crazy.
It's a vicious cycle, and the only person that gets the butt end of it is a groomer. You know, groomers have a very stressful job. You know, we're not just sitting or standing and just doing nothing.
Yeah.
We have to deal with the repercussions of the dogs. You know, we have to allow for craziness in the day. Whether a dog comes in, poops, and likes to tap dance in it and have to rewash.
That happens a lot.
You know, and stuff like that. I try to be as lenient as possible.
Yeah, but when you get to an hour and a half after that dog should be there, and then they stroll in,
or the owners expect you, since they're paying you to do something, they feel like they can walk all over you and treat you with disrespect.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm just a little late.
Yeah, they come in at 10 o'clock and they're like, well, it's still going to be done by noon, right?
Yeah, that's what
That's the one that, that's
I
where
just
it goes.
simply tell them, look, I'll be more than happy to take you in. But the thing is, I can't guarantee the time, so it might be 6 o'clock until your dog's done.
And
because
they
I
don't
have
like
to
that a
make
lot of
sure-
times.
Well, and then we reschedule or they storm out.
Yeah.
It's like a doctor's office. You don't set your appointment at the doctor's at 8 a.m. and show up at 9 and expect the doctors to still take you. That doesn't happen. They're on a time-sensitive schedule. And just like with us, they don't get paid unless people are paying or the insurance is paying. So if they miss an appointment, that's money out of their pocket. And to squeeze somebody in and try to give that person who was late the proper amount of attention to the details that they need, because you're not going to slack off because they're late. You're going to do a thorough job like you're supposed to. And then do the thorough job that the person that was on time as well.
Yep.
So I just tell the folks, look, I'll take you in. I cannot guarantee what time they're out. I end up staying later throughout the day because of situations like this, when I don't really have an off time. It's just whenever work gets done. But I would like to be at home making dinner at 5 o'clock.
And here's the funny part. We are, and I can only speak for us here, we're the most lenient salon that I've actually heard of in pretty much a 30-mile radius in any direction.
Mm-hmm.
We've actually bent over seriously backwards. I mean, you hear it too. We hear a lot of stories out there, and it's like, really? You would do that? I mean, I would never imagine doing it. We've heard some great stories. We're not going to release them and talk about it because that's another groomer's decision, and that's their own prerogative. But I'm always surprised to hear some things, and then I look at us and I go, "Wow, we really bend over backwards."
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we are literally Mr. and Mrs. Flexible.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
No, because and then there's times where
I mean, we do sound a little bit, standoffish, but we're very flexible.
yeah, and then there's people who their dog got loose and they're trying to find him.
Oh
You know,
boy,
it's like, oh,
heard that
okay,
story before.
Don't worry, we'll help you. And then there's the ones where my kid would not get dressed. I am so sorry, and they come in apologizing. Those are the ones I don't mind.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that I will work my hardest to make sure that everything gets taken care of, because I feel bad for their unfortunate situation. It's the ones, like the popular realtor around this area comes in and has her dogs groomed with us. She waits to the last possible minute to make the appointment. The dog is a mad mess that I had to work through. And she's the one that if we make mad, she will make it known through the world that she doesn't like us. So, we love the dogs. The dogs are perfect. Sweet angels. So, we give them the haircut like they pay for, like the person beforehand and the person who's, dirt poor compared to her. But she comes in whenever she feels like it and thinks that we owe her.
Yeah, she's got that level of acceptance that she's beyond a normal customer.
Yeah, you're just a help.
Yeah.
It's when people start treating groomers like a help.
Yeah.
And then we got majority. I would say about 90% of our customers, 95% of our customers.
I was going to say 95, 97.
They look at us as family.
Yep.
Hey, you get to go see Aunt Sarah, you get to go see Uncle Chris, like happened this week. Rosalie just went nuts when we walked in the door. She just ran straight to me and then ran straight to Chris. didn't care what mom was doing.
That's always strange when that happens.
Yeah, they wanted to hang out with us more than wanted to go home with their mom. And
Well, it's fun. It is fun time. I mean, you
so
look at the videos, you can tell it is fun time. All right, moving on. The fear you may be developing, groomer's lawn.
I swear, up and down, when I die and they do an autopsy, they're gonna cut my chest.
I'm not paying for no autopsy.
They're gonna cut my chest open, and all of a sudden, poof! Just like a stuffed teddy bear. Just all of a sudden, all this hair just comes flying out of my lungs. I swear to goodness.
I sometimes will start coughing, especially when you're drying. That's why I have something in my mouth from, candy or something, just to kind of make sure my mouth stays closed because, it's really
groomers
good.
have hairballs. That can happen. And my favorite is when you're stretching and you do a yawn and you're
Yeah,
and
look.
a random puffball of hair was flying around and you just sucked it in your mouth.
Oh, those are the worst too. Yeah, I start to relate to Mama Kitty every so often when she's coughing up a hairball. I'm like, oh, I know what you're going through.
And there's no remedy for us.
No,
Other
maybe
than a mask.
Maybe I'll actually eat some of her hairball treatment candy.
I mean, like groomers, a lot of groomers, the smart ones, wear masks on their face.
I couldn't do it.
And earplugs while drying.
Oh, I do that.
We do that part. But I tried doing the mask thing. I cannot breathe. That hot air of breathing out and back in just...
Well, lollipop stick wouldn't fit in through that, so I couldn't do it.
But it's gross, to me to have that there. I would much rather inhale a line of dog hair than wear that mask. But most of the smart groomers wear masks now to help preserve their lungs and wear earplugs to help preserve their hearing.
I do that.
Well, I didn't start using earplugs until 4 years into grooming, so my hearing was already shot before I started, and it was worse after all those motors going in my ear.
And it will. Your hands suffer the worst, having your hands constantly wet from the bath, roasted from the dryers, chafed from the scissors, friction burn from the clippers, and general scratches and bite marks from the dogs.
Yeah.
Boy, that says it all.
And nail trimmers. One time I was doing a dog's nails and got my finger caught and slid off almost.
You okay there? You having a stroke?
Yes. I sliced my finger to the point where it was a flap. A chunk of skin. So real quick, I cleaned it off with peroxide and wrapped a Band-Aid around it pretty tightly. I don't have feeling in that finger, but I still saved that skin and that chunk of fat that was there too.
That's just...
It's still there. I got all my fingers still. It's pretty cool. I'm very proud of that moment. But since you started washing the dogs, my hands don't get cracked.
Gosh, I had on the weekend. I haven't done it this week. I need to do it. I need to do a cream remedy kind of thing where I literally put my hands in moisturizer cream for the entire weekend and rehydrate them because they will start to hurt.
And tips to the groomers too out there. Most of them probably already know this, so I'm probably not saying anything new. But take dog moisturizer if you don't have any lotion.
Yes, that does work.
Regular dog conditioner and just slather them and let them sit for a few seconds and then rub them in, rinse them. That will put a lot of hydration back into your skin, even though it's dog shampoo or conditioner.
It's weird. Your hands actually look like the skin is gone because it's really red when water touches it and it burns. It's like acid. When water touches your hands, it's like that, like acid touching instead of water. Oh, very painful. I go through enough of that.
When grooming now, Chris can see this. I have a big, huge indentation or callus, whatever that is right there.
Whatever it is.
On my thumb where my scissors lay. And as I'm sitting there scissoring, it puts pressure on my thumb, and therefore I have this huge indentation and built up callus from my scissors. And then when using my clipper, I have another callus on my pinky where my clipper rests, and I use my other fingers to control. So it's a pain in the bum. My hands hurt, and then you can't go without saying about carpal tunnel.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
When the carpal tunnel starts hurting and it hits your elbow and makes your shoulders go numb. Oh, it's terrible.
Next one is, and we've talked about this quite often, even though we said we would never talk about it after episode 1, the horror of anal glands.
Oh gosh.
You know, I actually had one this past week where I shot the glands, and instead of it just going straight out, no, it went sideways. It went literally to the left, barely missed me, and shot into the wall. It was
And
I was so glad my face wasn't making sure I was there. After so many times you do this, you know where you're squeezing, so you don't have to look at it.
And you know when they're empty. You can
Yeah,
when they're empty.
but when you first start out, you look to make sure you're squeezing the right spot. I know it's been forever for you, but you remember you look back
stop.
there.
I've had people walk in just for
Oh
glands.
no, I'm talking about you've been doing it for years.
Oh.
Yeah, you've been doing it for years, so you know where you're going. But when you first start out, you look to make sure you're seeing this stuff come out. Yes, we're running long. So when you first start doing this, you look to make sure it's coming out. Well, after the first probably 100 times you do it, you just know where you're doing. You squeeze, blah blah blah. If I would have been looking, I would have had a face full of glands in there.
There's been many a times where Carol or one of the girls at the other salons had to wash my hair. It's that bad. That's why one of the reasons why I started wearing bandanas. It pulls my hair back, and if I get anything on the bandana, I can wash it real quick without washing my full head. But what happens, the reason why that happens, by the way, where it shoots off the one way, is because the one gland on the opposite side of where it shot released, and the other one wouldn't, or didn't. So that's why, it's releasing one way, it squirts past your shoulder, then you release the other side and it squirts the wall. So,
well, actually, you know what it did? It went one half went to the left, and the other just went into my hand. So it kind of was a weird.
Oh yeah, well.
It was weird.
When it comes straight out, that means they're both releasing at the same time.
Yeah, I think it was just a lot of pressure.
Yeah, so it's just
Crazy.
it's one side, the other, and then when it comes out in the middle, they're coming out both together. Maybe one a little bit more than the other. That's why you gotta go back for more.
Yeah, it's so much fun. Oh gosh. All right, number 2: using cute words for an aggressive dog. Oh, how much is that true? I would just use Jake as my first jump off at the beginning.
Well, the owners weren't like that. They were pretty upfront about it.
Well, okay, you're
I'm talking about like what this particular part was talking about is when a customer comes in with a Yorkie, and the Yorkie doesn't like being brushed at home. Oh well, he hides from the brush.
Oh, that way. Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, this is what they're trying to describe to us. What
my dog is so sweet.
Oh yeah, he nibbles. He doesn't bite.
Yeah, and all of a sudden he's Cujo.
Yes.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. Oh well.
Angry clown.
Exactly. Oh, you'll be able to brush him out fine. He'll do better for others in line. He's just spirited.
Oh.
She is a wiggle worm. It's a wiggle worm. That's all.
Yeah, nothing. No. My favorite was, it was an elderly lady. So, it was kind of one of those, cute moments. I'm not going to say it wasn't. It was a cute moment. But I think it was a German Shepherd. I'm almost sure it was a German Shepherd. And I had told her, yeah, the dog was aggressive and took a couple bites after me, snaps at me. And she looked, and before she came in, beginning of it all, she's like, oh, the dog's sweet and everything. When I told her, yeah, he's aggressive and took some snaps at me, she starts laughing, and she's like, oh, yes, he does that. He's spirited. That's not spirited. He was going to kill me. I was going to be his takeout for that day. She knew this. She knew it. And she just had the biggest grin on her face.
Just like it was just so funny.
Yeah, it's so funny. Let it happen to you.
Yeah, there's one person that started laughing. I looked at him, I'm like, no, it's not funny if I got hurt and I had to go to the hospital, you'll be the one paying my bill. Yeah. Because it's not right for you to take a dog that you are fully aware of that is highly aggressive. Because a groomer is going to come up a dog like a normal dog. Like, oh, okay, we'll check and see if you're, if you're aggressive. Some aggressive dogs will come up to you, sniff you, and then bite. Yeah. So you would think by approaching you, sniffing your hand like a normal dog would, everything's okay. But you go to move and then they grab your wrist,
That could be bad.
that's dangerous. So be responsible, or these groomers are going to call animal control and report a bite.
And some
And
places can be a lot worse.
And in so many bites, your dog will be forcefully put down. So I like people to tell me, my dog is aggressive. I was told by the groomer that he did bite. Okay, well then I can approach the situation differently. And Chris can approach the situation differently while bathing.
Yeah, because that happens every week. We have this.
Yeah, we avoid the pain and suffering the dog's going to deal with for grooming, because obviously something went wrong and the dog hated grooming, and we could try to reverse the effects and then just continue on and go from step to step to step to rehabilitate this aggressive dog.
We have those dogs, lots of those dogs too.
So please just be respectful and tell the groomer flat, straight, normal words, my dog hates to be groomed.
I think, you know what the best way to look at it? You go to the doctor. We've used a lot of doctor references this visit. I don't know, this episode. You go to the doctor and you say, oh, I work out every day and I eat right. And yet the doctor looks at you and goes, yeah, right, okay, you're full of it.
The 75 pounds overweight.
Yeah, it's the same thing. I'm obviously, we've said this so many different episodes, but we will know. It's right there. It's right as rain. We can see it.
Or, you go to a tattoo, to go get a tattoo, knowing that you're scared to death of needles. You're in the middle of the tattoo, your guy's going to start, and you're like, oh my God, there's needles. And the tattoo artist's like, what's your problem?
Right. I'm going to tell a really quick story, and this is actual news, local news. In St. Louis, there was an unfortunate situation where a little 2-year-old was attacked by a dog. And the parents are now facing charges. They said the dog was innocent, was sweet, loving, blah, blah, blah. The situation is very simple. This dog was not sweet, was not innocent. There had been 3 prior bites on different children that this dog actually attacked the child, one of the other 3 siblings. And it had been documented. So now the parents are actually facing, both father and mother are facing criminal charges because they willingly knew that dog was physically abusive or, attackable, aggressive.
Yeah.
So,
a side note to a side note here. Some dogs aren't aggressive for any real reason other than maybe a health problem.
yes.
A thyroid problem that sends a dog into this angry mode, a brain disease, a chemical imbalance.
Yeah.
So take the dog to the vet, not take the vet to the dog.
Well, that would be, well, you kind of are taking the vet to the dog.
Well, if they make house calls.
That's true. All right. And the final one is matting and knots. Well, just listen to 63 episodes of The Groomer Next Door and we'll talk all about it. Make it as simple as that. I think that we should just change the name of the show to Mats.
Oh my gosh.
And of course, the best part, and we've already faced this one just recently, I want you to give the dog a cut, but don't cut the mats. You remember that one?
Oh, a lot of people are like, well, just leave the mats for me to get out.
Yeah, just leave it. It'll brush right out.
Yeah, you untrained hands with scissors cutting out a mat. Or
No. They don't need to be cut out. It just needs to be brushed out. It's just a simple brush.
I had this one woman, right? She came in with a schnauzer. The schnauzer's beards are supposed to lay down nice and pretty to a point. Well, her schnauzer's beard was up and around.
Look like a handlebar mustache.
Oh, it was up and around. So I saw Mash just looking at it, looking at the coat, the skirt. It was matted. I didn't need to touch the dog to tell her the dog was matted. It'll need to be stripped. I tell the lady, she goes, no, these can brush right out. I'm like, ma'am, I'm sorry. Humanity before vanity. We are going to make sure your dog does not hurt while being groomed. She goes, well, do you have a brush? I'll brush it out right now. I have 10 minutes before my appointment. I'm like, what?
Well, that was part of this. It said, customers will always say that they brush their dogs, but the dogs look like the Rastafarians.
Yeah.
And it's like, you can tell, folks.
So the lady, she was right. She showed up 10 minutes before her appointment time. And I lent her out a slicker brush.
I remember this.
And she's looking at it. She goes, yeah, this is a brush I use all the time on her. So I'll be back in 10 minutes. So she's sitting there, she's brushing the dog, and she's realizing none of these mats are coming out. She's sitting in the entrance of the store, and the dog is screaming because she's trying to brush these mats out because she just knows so much about schnauzers. And it was
Hey,
to the
there are
point.
people that actually are in this industry that know so much about schnauzers, and you wouldn't know it.
So what stopped her was a customer walked in and looked and says, "Wow, that looks like you're really hurting her." And she got mad and just she walked in, she slammed the brush down on the counter, says, "I'm skipping this appointment. She doesn't need it." And she walked out. Well, one part of the most sensitive spot of the dog was fluffed up. The top part was
Yeah.
brushed, but the mats were still there. And walked out, stormed out, all mad because I was right. It's don't go against the groomer. Yeah, you got to be cautious to make sure the groomer's not being lazy.
Yes.
If there literally is 3 mats on the dog, that there's something that can go underneath it without being stripped the entire body, then that's just a lazy groomer. You know, you got to be careful. But if the groomer is full-fledged to the wall saying, your dog is matted, we can't do anything but shave. Take their word for it. Get it done. And if you don't like what they said, take your dog to another groomer and see if they say the same thing.
Yeah.
If they say the same thing, well, guess what? It's your fault, not theirs.
All right. So that's the top 10, even though I added one more. I want to play a quick soundbite because I just thought this was absolutely awesome. So it is Project Majority. I'm going to play it for you. You'll actually know the actor maybe. If not, we'll talk about the actor in a second, and we'll conclude our show. But sit back. I want you guys to hear this.
Hey, I'm John Bernthal, and I'm an actor, I'm a father, and I'm also a proud pit bull dog owner. This is Boss, and this is Venice, and that's little Billy the Kid. Unfortunately, pit bull dog owners are sometimes victim to negative stereotypes that have nothing to do with how much they love or care for their dog. The laws and policies that target dog owners based on their dog's breed or appearance won't make communities safer. Holding all reckless dog owners accountable will. If you're among the majority of loving, caring, and responsible pit bull dog owners, go to themajorityproject.com. Print out one of these and proudly display it in a picture of you with your pit bull. Together, we're not the exception, we're the majority. Thank you.
Your photo may be among those chosen to appear in an upcoming television public service announcement starring John Bernthal to help spread the word about the Majority Project. For more information and to submit your photo, visit themajorityproject.com.
As you guys all know, we're huge pit bull supporters. Thanks to Roxy, of course, really, giving us an insight of what a pit bull can be like.
Well, I've always been a pit bull type dog supporter. My cousins have had them. Friends of mine have had them. And they've always seemed really great.
Now, if you don't know who the actor is, if you're a fan of Walking Dead, he was on season 1. I think he made it to season 2, but he was the other sheriff, Rick's partner and best friend.
Yeah.
If you've actually seen the movie Fury, he was one of the people in the tank. He's got a very large body of work. Great actor. Seems like he can always change his character really well. So I, right away I saw that and I was just so amazed by it. You can go to the Project Majority website if you're a pit bull owner, and you could easily print off one of their little forms, take a picture with your pit bull, and upload it to their actual website. You may be put into one of their commercials. I love our little Roxy.
We need to do that.
We did. I did one for the show. I did a show
we need to
one.
print it out.
Yeah.
I am a groomer.
I did podcaster actually.
And I'll do groomer.
If you look on this week's show art, on the bottom left corner is the one that I actually posted. So if you are a pit bull owner and you want to do that, it's free. That's always kind of cool. So anyways, that's it this week. I think we've covered it all. We look forward to actually, talking to you guys again on Wednesday, even though we've already done the episode. But we look forward to actually talking to you guys again on Wednesday. And, drop over by our Facebook page, the Groomer Next Door podcast.
And that's the easier place where you can send questions or comments or stuff like that. And we can definitely help in any aspect that you need help with, or having trouble finding answers for,
Yep.
Just send us a message.
Yep. Come over there. Please, subscribe to the show, whether it's on YouTube, on Facebook, on YouTube, or on iTunes. Like always, it doesn't cost to subscribe. And that's it for this week. I'm
Yeah.
always sad around this point. Friday
I'm
out.
ready to get going and get dinner started.
It's still early. I got some time to kind of relax until I have to start editing. Yeah. All right, everybody. I'm Chris Green, and I'm sad that this is over already because, yeah, I know, but I'm always sad that it's over. All right, I'm Chris Green. Have a pet-tastic week.
And I'm Sarah Green, making sure everybody realizes life is so short. Play with your pet.
Goodbye, everybody.
Okay, gotta go in my bedtime.